I've never been a big diesel guy, but I know a lot of you guys are, so in this video I'm going to talk about 10 incredibly fast and fun diesel cars for under £20,000. If you like this kind of content, do hit the like button, subscribe as well if you're new. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. Let's get this video started with the third generation Ford Focus in ST spec, which came as both a petrol and diesel model. Of course, the petrol is typically the more popular one, but that has helped diesel prices to be quite low, with these starting at around 10k, with 20k getting you a 2018 model with around 20,000 miles on the clock. For that kind of money, you'll be getting yourself a 2-litre turbocharged inline-4 engine producing 182 brake horsepower, 400 Nm of torque, and a 0 to 60 time of 7.8 seconds, pretty decent to kick us off. It came along with the facelifted ST, which made particular changes to the bumpers and the alloys. It is of course a middle ground hot hatch sitting behind the RS, and the diesel is actually slower than the petrol ST but has great remap potential. On reliability, some have been known to have power steering issues and transmission problems in some worse cases. Next up, we need to talk about the Golf GTD, the diesel equivalent of the hallowed Golf GTI. It comes with a 2-litre turbocharged inline-4 engine which makes 181 brake horsepower and does 0 to 60 in 7.3 seconds, half a second faster than the Focus. Aesthetically, it's very similar to the GTI, of course, just with a few stylings modified to give it its own identity, like the blue line on the grille replacing the red one, and the slightly different alloys too. It is, of course, not quite as quick as the GTI, but again, it's great from a remap point of view, making it a little bit of a sleeper. You'll find these listed anywhere from around the £7,000 mark, making it the joint cheapest car on the list, and 20k will get you a nice 2017 model with 30k on the clock. Some owners have had issues with the DSG transmission, and there have also been issues with the DPF, but in general that engine is known to be reliable. It's the third diesel hot hatch in a row now, as next up is the mini hatch Cooper SD, which comes with a 2-litre turbocharged inline-4 engine making 167 brake horsepower, giving it a 0 to 60 time of 7.1 seconds, so it's starting to get a little bit quicker. This came with the third generation mini hatch, which was larger all around than the previous generations, as if they weren't already big enough for you to question that mini name. Irrespective, the SD comes with some incredible exterior stylings that make it look way more aggressive than you'd expect for a little diesel hatch. I actually really rate the looks, and the interior is a nice place to be too, with typical modern mini styling. These start at around the £7,000 mark, matching the GTD, and 20k is enough for a 2017 model with around 20,000 miles on it. The most known problems on these are with the transmission, clutch, and water pumps that I could find on forums, but again they're generally pretty solid. Volvo estate sleepers are some of my favourite cars in terms of value for money, and the V90 D5 is a great example of this thanks to its 2-litre twin turbocharged inline-4 engine, which makes 231 brake horsepower, 480 Nm of torque, and has a 0 to 60 time of just 7 seconds, not bad for a car of its size. You'll probably be looking for a pre-facelift at your 20k, which is a bit of a shame as I think the facelift was really solid on these, but either way it's a nice executive estate for the money, with a super high level of safety as is always the case with Volvos, and simplicity throughout. It's not a shouty car at all, but it definitely does the job for me personally. These will run you around £16,000 at the bottom end, and 20k will now be a 2018 model with 80,000 miles on the clock. In general, owners have been very happy with these, though the engine control module has been a source of a few issues. Just missing out on the top 5, we have the biggest car on the list, the second generation Range Rover Sport, specifically with the Ford 4.4-litre turbocharged V8 engine, which puts out 334 brake horsepower, 700 Nm of torque, and a 0 to 60 time of 6.5 seconds. Not bad for a car that weighs over 2,100 kilograms. I think the second generation Range Rover Sport is really great value for money right now, as it remains pretty modern aesthetically both on the outside and in, but isn't the ridiculous prices of new examples. The only problem is that they haven't been known to be the most reliable cars in the world, with electrical, build quality, and in the worst cases, engine and transmission problems that owners have dealt with. I would say though, it is a cool car for the money, and having been in one as a passenger, I thoroughly enjoyed the luxury experience. This is the most expensive car on the list though, starting at our 20k limit, and for that you'll be getting a 2015 model with around 80,000 miles on the clock. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you are, then do hit the like button and subscribe as well if you're new, and a quick reminder, do check out carsjb.com to get some of the merchandise. It's super cheap and I think you'll like it. In fifth, we have the Maserati Quattroporte, a nice luxury saloon with its 3-litre turbocharged V6 engine, which makes 271 brake horsepower, 600 Nm of torque, and will go from 0 to 60 in 6.2 seconds. This is the 6th generation car, and the diesel is the most sedate example given the petrol engine options, but that's no major issue when you consider how much better the miles per gallon is, and the fact that that the engine was still cast to Ferrari specifications. Add on the luxurious interior, the engine doesn't really matter because it remains nice, filled with good quality materials, though owners have in some cases questioned the build quality, which Maserati have been working to resolve in more recent models. £14,000 will get you into one of these, and 20k will get you a 2014 model with around 40,000 miles on the clock. Reliability has always been a question on these, but as I said, it's build quality that causes the most complaints. It's ramping up quickly now as we're onto the Jaguar XF, which in S spec comes with a 3-litre turbocharged V6 engine, which makes 295 brake horsepower, 700 Nm of torque, and will get from 0 to 60 in 6.2 seconds, matching the Quattroporte. You'll be looking at the facelift example of these, which dropped in 2011 and is, in my opinion, a properly nice looking car. It's far sportier on the exterior than the standard XF, though of course a step down from the super aggressive XF RS. The interior is slightly sportier too, with bolstered seats and a two-tone option, but remains in general a simple place given it's an executive car. £13,500 is the minimum I can find these listed for, and 20k is enough for a 2016 model with 40,000 miles on the clock. Crankshaft failure is the known issue with these, as well as alternator failure. We're on to the top 3 now, and in third we have the Porsche Panamera, which comes with a 3-litre turbocharged V6 engine making 295 brake horsepower, 650 Nm of torque, and a 0 to 60 time of 5.8 seconds. Not bad for a family estate, which is actually classified as a hatchback, but whatever. The diesel was released in 2011, and that engine actually came from Audi and was also used in the Cayenne. On release, it was the most economical Porsche in the company's history, all while maintaining the Panamera handling dynamics, which were designed to be typically Porsche, and of course the super plush interior. Porsche really do know how to make a nice interior spec. It also got a facelift in 2013, which remains within our price range and made the car look a whole bunch newer. These will run you around 15k at the bottom end for a pre-facelift model, and 20k will get you a 2014 model with 90,000 miles on it. PDK transmission issues and carbon buildup are the two main problems I could find with these. Narrowly missing out on the top spot, we have our second SUV on the list, the Audi SQ5, which despite its size still manages a 0 to 60 time of 4.9 seconds thanks to its 3-litre twin turbocharged V6 engine, which makes 336 brake horsepower, the most of any car on this list, and 700 Nm of torque too. It was Audi's first ever S model to receive a diesel engine, which is pretty crazy when you consider Audi were pioneers in bringing diesel to endurance racing, winning Le Mans in their diesel R10 TDI. Everything else about it though follows the usual Audi S formula: lowered stiffer suspension, more aggressive looks outside and in, and of course the permanent all-wheel drive with torque vectoring. The performance out of this is better than many other range-topping fast SUVs as well, which is cool for a compact SUV. These are slightly more expensive though, starting at £18,000, and 20k will get you into a 2016 model with 100,000 miles on it. Electrical issues are most common with these, but generally they're solid. Taking the top spot on this list, it's time for the BMW 435D, a super fast and sporty diesel coupe which has a 3-litre twin turbocharged inline-6 engine which makes 308 brake horsepower, 630 Nm of torque, and is 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds, pretty rapid. Now the biggest shame with these, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that they didn't get a convertible option, which I think looks so much cooler. Irrespective, the coupe is probably more performant anyway as it's lighter, and if you want an M4 but you're a big diesel fan, this is the closest you'll get. A simple, cheap Stage 1 remap will add 30% power to the car, which means you're pushing 400 brake horsepower easily. Not bad at all. These are listed anywhere from around the £11,500 mark, with 20k getting you a 2015 model with around 30,000 miles on the clock. EGR valve and coolers and steering racks have provided the most issues, but the EGR stuff did actually get recalled, so check it's been sorted. So thank you very much for watching, I do really appreciate it. Massive thanks to the patrons as well for their continued support. And if you want to watch another video on some cheap diesel hot hatchbacks, then click up here and subscribe down here.